Okay, normally I take a little bit more time in between doing these Life with Lindas, but wow. So, um, all right. Most of you who watch this actually know me. And I say it that way because some random person might come across these at some point. And that's the only reason I say most. We know it's mainly my friends. And so everybody knows about Jake. For anyone who doesn't, Jake is Jake. He's my Jake. We have known each other for like ever. Um, Met New Year's Eve of 1991. So there you go. Long, long history. Jake has had issues in the past, and I'm not going to go into any of the real personal like relationship, any of that kind of stuff. This is physical. At the age of 19, brain tumors, and had that taken care of. Then in 2014, had a tumor at the base of his spine, had that taken care of. So a couple of weeks ago, he texted me and was talking about how bad things were. Things are hurting. His right leg is dragging and that kind of stuff. And I told him, you need to go to a doctor because that's not good. So he then went to the doctor that Monday. We were texting on Sunday. Um, and I would tell you the date, but dude, the way the life has been, and I put my phone over there so I can't easily look at it. But anyway, it was not this past Monday, but the Monday before that he went. And they admitted him to the hospital, and they were thinking maybe it was a stroke because the whole right side was weak. Um, they needed to do an MRI in order to find out whether or not it was a stroke. But the pain was so great, he could not lay flat and go into the machine. So it was like a waiting period as they're trying to figure things out and trying to make it where they can do the testing. So I drove up to see him um, Thursday of last week at Hospital One. Hospital One was friendly, nice, but they were having a hard time taking care of it because, again, he physically couldn't lay down and get into the machine because of how drastic the pain was. So they found Hospital 2 is more advanced, and they would be able to sedate him and get him into the machine to get the scan so then they could find out whether or not it was a stroke that was causing the issues. So that was Tuesday of this week. So Tuesday of this week is when they finally transported him there, sedated him, got the MRI done, out, back over to Hospital One. Got to Hospital One, and they were like, holy crap, you got a tumor. So he had a tumor, big mass. They kept saying this huge mass, this aggressive mass on his spine up near the base of the neck. So pushing onto the nerves, and that's why he was losing more and more functionality on his right side. And they said, holy crap, this is too big for us. We are transferring you over to Hospital 2. So the hospital he went to for the testing and then came back is the hospital he then ended up at. So Tuesday, he calls, lets me know it's tumor, blah, blah, blah. And I'm so sorry, but I just heard that in Arnold Schwarzenegger's voice in, I think it's Kindergarten Cop. It's a tumor. But anyway, um, so there you go. So Wednesday morning, I'm on the phone with him and the doctors while I'm driving to work. And the doctors are talking about it, and it's aggressive. They need to get it out ASAP. And they were scheduling him for surgery for Thursday. So Tuesday, MRI, Wednesday, you're having surgery tomorrow, Thursday. I needed to be here. Reasons I'm not going into on here. I mean, other than obviously I needed to be here, but I wanted to make sure that I could help with medical decisions and stuff in case anything went wrong. I was hoping nothing would go wrong, but I feel better knowing that what somebody wants to happen will 100% happen. And I am very good at that, um, sticking to somebody else's wants and ignoring my own. It's just, it is what it is. I've been this person for multiple people. So I knew I needed to be here. I finished working on Wednesday. While I was at work, I knew I was going to be up here for the surgery. And my plan was to book a hotel room for Thursday night so I could spend all day doing the stuff. And then I could crash Thursday night and then drive home Friday. Then the more I thought about it, the more I started stressing because the doctor had said he had to operate on someone with a brain tumor in the morning and then rest or whatever. And then he was going to do Jake that afternoon. So I thought I had some time to drive up. I live a little over 2 hours away. Um, then I started thinking, I'm going to be stressed. What happens if, there's traffic, this and that, blah, blah, blah. So that really freaked me out. So I then changed to where I drove up Wednesday night. So after I got off work, went home, had coffee, packed up, waited until 6 p.m. because why would you leave Atlanta at 5? That's just dumb. So I waited. And then I left at 6, arrived here, checked in, got to the hospital, saw him, saw how bad the whole right arm was working. Like he couldn't make a fist at all at this point. It's like barely moving his arm around, and it was just, you know. Um, we talked about how scared we were. We did the friend thing of like, oh no. Um, my stupid Pollyanna, it's gonna be great. This time tomorrow, we'll at least have answers, that kind of thing. Meanwhile, we're also freaking out because when the doctor talked about it, he said he didn't know if it was, he did a whole bunch of location specific stuff and not sure, and was prepping Jake and everybody with the fact that I think the doctor was thinking this was going to be cancerous because he kept saying that he couldn't guarantee this and he couldn't guarantee that, and that afterwards there might be a need for chemo or radiation. And so that tells us what he thought it was. And so there's a lot of fear happening. Um, get to my hotel room Wednesday night. I'm exhausted, crash, wake up Thursday morning. I tutor somebody Thursday mornings. I told him I needed to make it really short because I didn't want to totally cancel, but I had to shorten it because we normally tutor for 2 hours or 3 hours, and I shortened it to one, thankfully, which I'll get into. And so I wake up, I see that, or I look at the clock or my phone, and I see that I have a bunch of texts. So it turns out my mom went to the hospital, while I'm nowhere near there. Her hemoglobin was at 4. Um, she had to get an ambulance, get to the hospital. She got checked in. I'm reminding her I am currently in another state doing the stuff for Jake and apologize for not being there. Uh, so yesterday, oh, cutting the tutoring short, they were able to get to Jake faster. So I was booking it. I'm so glad that I did the tutoring earlier because I arrive at the hotel. I mean the hotel. I arrive at the hospital. I am like speed walking through the parking lot, the hospital, getting up there. And of course, it's one of those things where his room is like all the way out, like literally the last room down this hall. And I get there as they were finishing doing the last wipe down before they take him to pre-op. So, I mean, I was that close. But I got there. That's when I found out that his mom was there. His mom has been diagnosed with dementia, but she will tell you that another doctor told her that she doesn't really have dementia. But she will then randomly start humming while talking to you. And I've heard the same couple of stories over and over, which is fine. I actually had some fun chatting with her. it got a little frustrating when I would try to make phone calls, like I'm trying to call Isabel to let her know what's going on with my mom, because we had to find somebody to drive Isabel to my mom's apartment to make sure the bird was okay and to turn on the AC, because apparently when you are so low on hemoglobin, you flip and freeze. And I say that because my mom said that she needed to make sure we put the air on for the bird because she thinks that she turned on the heat. We are in the Atlanta area and there's a heat wave. So I told my mom that maybe the next time it's like in the 90s and you feel the need to turn on the heat in your apartment, maybe that's an indicator. Okay. We had some other clues, which we had talked about previously. Well, I didn't talk about here, but I don't think it's all that important. But I had been talking to her the previous day or so, telling her she needed to go to the doctor. Um, but while I'm trying to talk to Isabel, Jake's mom keeps thinking I'm talking to her. And so that made it hard to make phone calls because she seemed to not easily comprehend that I was on a phone, or she might not have remembered that I said I was on a phone. And I tried showing the phone, I tried holding the phone here, tried holding the phone here. She was best at me being on the phone one time when I called my mom to check on things, but every other call, not so much. So I just didn't. I just worked with her. Okay, fast forward. Um, Surgeon comes out. Surgery was done faster than anticipated. They had thought it was going to be a minimum of 4 hour surgery. It was a little under 4. The doctor was very pleased with himself. Tumor came out completely, perfectly clean. He was able to get the whole thing out. Yay. I would tell you the type of tumor it was. I have been told so many times. I have it on my phone, but my phone, like I said, is over there, and I'm not taking the time because I have to check out of this hotel pretty soon. Um, for some reason, I keep turning the name of the tumor into shawarma. I know it's not shawarma, but schwannova or something like that. I asked the doctor, why does he keep getting these? Because that's the exact same kind of tumor he had in the brain and on the lower back. And the doctor said that there can be a genetic condition like this. And so we now have to wait for pathology, which takes 3 to 5 days to determine for sure if this tumor is that kind of tumor. And if so, then the doctor is talking about doing genetic testing. So then we can find out if Jake has this particular very rare condition. And my assumption is if they find that out, then maybe they can scan him every few years to look for the first little warning sign of one. So then it can be taken care of before it gets, and that's the only time we ever find it. Um, Being able to get the whole thing off of the spine took all the pressure off the nerve. And as of last night, I was seeing him moving his arm a whole lot more, his right arm. And he told me this morning that he can actually use his right hand a lot more. So, yay, that's good. Um, his mom. So it comes time to take his mom from the hospital back to where she's staying. I say back to where she's staying because that's a whole other story of what's going on with their house. So she's been staying at a hotel. She left her 2 dogs in the hotel room. Um, Skipping over all the personal stuff. If you really know me close and you want more details, just ask. I'll talk to you, but not public like this. She knew she was staying at a Best Western. She didn't remember which Best Western. I can now tell you how many Best Westerns there are here because we went to them. And it was the 4th one when we found where she was supposed to stay. I walked her in. I was going to take her to her room. And she's like, no, I want to talk to the lady at the desk. And I'm like, okay, so you're okay? She's like, yeah, I'm good. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to go back to the hospital because during this amount of time, Chris decided to drive up from the Atlanta area after work so he could be there to be supportive of me, to me, for me, whatever word you use there, because I was losing it. It's a lot of pressure. So when he was leaving, I realized it was pretty late and I asked, "Are you sure you're doing this?" And he said, "Quit trying to talk me out of it. I'm trying to be a good boyfriend." And I thought that was really cute. Great that he did, because he arrived at the hospital while I am still running around all over the place trying to find the proper hotel for Jake's mom. So he was at least able to sit there and visit with Jake, so Jake wasn't alone. So that's good. I finally get back to the hospital late. It took well over 2 hours for what should have taken maybe 20 minutes. And Jake's really stressing out because of other things, again, that I'm not going into here. But there was a lot of personal things, and he's really stressing about his mom. And I'm like, "I got her to the hotel." He's like, "But did you get her into the room?" And I was like, "No, I was going to, but she wanted to talk to the person at the front desk." So on a whim, I call the hotel asking to talk to his mom. And that's when I find out she is still in the lobby. It has now been about 40 minutes since I left her there. And the hotel was saying she couldn't stay because she had left her dogs in the room all day. Um, yeah. So I found her a room at a Hilton property, a Hampton Inn, because I just immediately opened my app and I'm like, "Okay, who takes dogs? Which one's the less cost?" Bam, booked it for a couple of nights. I really didn't want to go back out there, and she did not have a phone. So then Chris is using his phone to get an Uber to go pick her up. I'm calling back to the Best Western to explain what's going on. We have to give the PIN to the person at the front desk because we were pretty darn sure Jake's mom's not going to remember. Then we asked for her to give the phone to Jake's mom so I could explain to her about the hotel. I'm trying to explain to her that she has a new hotel. Once I said about the Uber driver coming, she apparently put the phone down and stopped listening. Um, but the, Chris is texting the Uber driver trying to explain, "Please be kind, blah, blah, blah." So the Uber driver was a wonderful person, helped, got her dogs and everything in the car, transported her to the new hotel. I had called the new hotel and explained what was going on. But apparently Jake's mom, when she arrived, since she had put the phone down and wasn't listening or couldn't remember about stuff, didn't realize I had already booked her a room, paid for it, everything. Everything's covered. And she was trying to get a room, but she doesn't have a card with her, a credit card. So it caused more drama. But eventually she got into her room because the hotel then remembered everything I had told them. And they're like, "No, you have a room. Here you go." And there you go. So she got into her room. So his mom's taken care of now. Meanwhile, the stuff for my mom is still going on. And as of this morning, I'm about to close up, check out, and go see Jake. But my mom has had one bag of blood for the stuff. She's getting another echocardiogram because she's got the narrowing of the aorta, the stenosis. And so I talked to the cardiologist because the cardiologist is trying to tell my mom they're taking her off of the blood thinners, that she's not on it for anything cardiac, for the cardio part, nothing for her heart. And I told him, "You need to specify that and explain that that does not mean she doesn't need it for the stents in her legs, that you're only talking the heart part because she is going to take it as you said she doesn't need them." And he's like, "Oh, but no, she has to talk to the vascular." And I'm like, "That's what you need to make clear." What my mom believes right now, I don't know. But they had to check to make sure, doing the echocardiogram to make sure her heart's good because they want to give her one of those camera pills to go through to find out where the internal bleeding is, because clearly she's bleeding out because most people don't have their hemoglobin drop to a 4. So then my mom's asking me, "When are you ever going to come see me?" And I pointed out, "I'm not even in the state. I drive home today." So in just a moment, I'm packing up, getting out of here, going to the hospital, seeing Jake one more time, hitting the road, trying to get home. I want to get home early enough so I can before Chris and I go to the Fox Theater to watch Star Wars, because by God, that's what I've been looking forward to. And that legit is what's been holding me together for all this, is I get to go see Star Wars at the Fox Theater tonight. I'm not missing that. I was planning for tomorrow to get some rest and just kind of recoup, and I will do part of that during the day, but I am going to have to eventually see my mom, and her bird is still in her apartment because Isabel took care of the bird, but we didn't take the bird out. But I don't think my mom's coming out of the hospital anytime soon, so I have to bring the bird back to the house. And I don't know. So that'll probably be Saturday. While Sunday, then I will be cooking all day because I promised my classes that I was going to make Brunswick stew, and I'm probably going to make scones, and I'm going to try to make candied ginger and dehydrated oranges so I can make a ginger and orange scone, because that just sounds good. And for some reason, I decided I was going to do that. And I promised all of this stuff on Monday. So Sunday will be all cooking. And then Aaron, the kid I'm tutoring, is wanting to catch up for all the missed tutoring sessions. And so I have now booked him for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of next week. And there. Now you're caught up. Ah. Oh, yeah. And apparently I have a lot of aggression and anger because the shower here, the door kept opening, and I found myself cussing out the shower door until I just grabbed a hand towel and shoved it in the track to force the shower door to close. So I apparently have a lot of aggression and anger bubbling up right now, and I am about to explode. And I want to run away and not have any responsibilities for a little bit. And I don't know how to do that because there you go. So that's the update. It is now 12:01 and I need to get out of this room. So that's it. Peace out.